The second pinch point is the part of the story where the villain is fully revealed. It's where the stakes have never been higher and the enemy our hero must defeat comes out of the shadows and into the light. How does the hero deal with this challenge? And how do you write this villainous moment? Welcome to Writing Quest. Hello everyone, welcome to Writing Quest. My name is Brennan Pugh, and in today's episode we're going to talk about the second pinch point and what that means for our heroes. So if you're new to the channel, we are on a quest to write an epic tale. Thank you for joining us. Stick around to the end of the video to hear about the progress, where we're at writing the words and the outline and all that kind of stuff. Here we go. So what is the second pinch point? The second pinch point basically is when the villain really kind of comes out of the shadows. So in the first pinch point, it was kind of this, we basically based it around Ro's insecurities and her internal conflict, her internal fears. And so this is the moment where we actually start to figure out who the villain is. Now, because this is such a long series, what we've planned so far, which is 12 books, this particular villain for this book isn't necessarily the overarching villain of the whole thing. That's going to be revealed as the whole series goes on. But it's the villain for this book. It's kind of the culmination of everything that has happened so far, and it kind of comes together and is fully realized in who the villain is. So I'm not really going to share exactly what what I'm thinking for this, because while I want to be fully transparent, I'm still working it out and I want to make sure that it's going to work. But the villain of this is going to show himself, and for Ro and Guyan and Artemis, it's really going to be a big moment, I feel like, for them. It's going to give, so far the Wraithwalkers, which has kind of been the enemy, have just basically been this chaotic, leaderless nothing. So this is officially going to give them a leader. We're going to kind of add a little more structure to what the Wraithwalkers are, as opposed to just kind of this pure chaotic villain. They're going to have motives of their own, and they're going to be controlled by an entity. So for me, that, the hardest part for me in this whole series has been, what do I do with the villain? What is the villain? What is the, so finally being able to give it a structure and give it some kind of, hierarchy, I guess, really has helped flesh out what it is, what the ultimate villain of the whole series is going to be, and then what the villain of this particular book is. So I'm really excited about that. For Ro, it's going to be a big moment because I think I'm leaning towards it being someone that she knows from her past. And so it's going to be that moment where her internal conflict just kind of flips on its head and kind of just really destroys her. It's that moment where everything comes to a head. And so this is the moment right before the darkest moment and the disaster portion, which we'll get to in a minute, which is where everything goes to crap and the hero basically gives up. That, it's essentially the moment where they almost give up and everything is over. So for Ro, I need to make sure that while one of the things, with epic fantasy is that all that stuff generally tends to be very plot driven. And that's where I want to make sure that, the emotions for our main character are going to be very real. And the revelation of who this is, not only is it's going to be biggest for Ro because she's our main character, but it's going to affect Guyan and Artemis. And so it's basically just going to be this one moment is going to affect all of them in the same way in different levels. And so I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be great. I really think, this is a kind of a tricky part, because I always feel like when you get into villain stuff and revealing villains, and it's kind of a moment where things can get really tacky and where things can get that's stupid, or it can basically become very expected, and then you lose the element of surprise. So you can kind of build up the tension, and then you find out who it is, and it's like, oh, it happens in TV shows all the time where it's very anticlimactic. So I'm trying to make sure that it has some good climactic moment that feels really good. So that's essentially what the second pinch point is and how it relates to our characters. So It's going to be, only maybe so far I've only got outlined for this moment 2 chapters, 2 full scenes. I like to think of my chapters are basically a whole scene. So that's it's only going to be a short moment in the book. It's going to be a short but very pivotal moment. It's only 2 chapters. Maybe it'll stretch to 3. Maybe it'll go down to 1. I don't know. It's not going to be very long. It's not going to be very big. And this moment, the second pinch point, propels them into the 3rd act of the story, which is where the resolution, the climax, the big battle scene, all that stuff is going to finally happen. So as far as the book goes, we are writing the book. I don't have as many words as I wish that I did, but it is coming along, and I'm kind of stretching out. I think I'm going to stretch out my writing timeline. I was wanting to get it done over the next 2 months, but I think I'm going to stretch it out for a couple more months just because I want to make sure that I'm taking enough time to get it done. And so once we get through a lot of these outlining videos, we'll start getting into the actual writing videos, which I think it's been really fun to funnel down because, the early version of the outline doesn't quite line up now with what I've done with the chapter outlines. And I know that's going to change even further with the writing, but it's really cool to see it all kind of, it's just new iterations. And as I've expanded it becomes the next iteration and it becomes stronger each time. So I'm really excited about that. That's all we got for the show today. Thank you for tuning into Writing Quest, and we hope that you are learning something. We hope that you are embarking on your own quest to write an epic tale. And so comment, like, share, subscribe, all those things, and we'll see you next time on Writing Quest. Huzzah!